So let's talk about transcending and ascending. So each of us has divine connections with people. Like when we experience trauma and drama and the agitation and the frustration in our lives, typically we're experiencing that as we're tethered to somebody else. So the frustrations in our lives and the dramas and the traumas come into our lives usually in partnership with other people. It happens through relationships with other people, right? And so you have these divine connections with people, and the two of you are learning joint lessons together. So, and it's no accident that you've been put together either. The two of you have been tethered. You're learning lessons jointly together. They might be painful lessons, but it is no accident. Usually it's by divine design that your soul has attracted that person into your space, that life experience, that work relationship, that marriage relationship, that has been drawn in by your higher self for a divine purpose, because there's learning that needs to take place. So you might experience learning through agitation, through friendships. You might experience it through a child, a spouse, a lover. But you need to realize that the two of you in this agitated, painful condition, and it could be something as extreme as the abused and the abuser, right? It could be something as extreme as being the victim of a horrific crime or of violence, something like that even. It could just be that you're in a very agitated, frustrated relationship with somebody else and it doesn't feel very good. It feels very volatile. And so your partners in this evolution, they have something to learn, you have something to learn. And so you attract yourselves to each other by your soul's divine design, and you become partners in this evolution of learning these lessons. The soul came here to expand and to learn through experience. And the lesson typically is a lesson of transcendence, I guess is the word. Being able to transcend that pain and that suffering and overcome it. And so this is a perfectly divine and beautiful, sacred experience for you and this other person to experience together. And so the lesson really is you've got to learn how to find the love and the unity and the harmony in that relationship. Now, a lot of people will say to me, I've worked with rape victims before. And they'll say to me, I cannot find love between my abuser and myself. That's not even possible. I want to get as far away from them as I possibly can. And what I say to them is, yeah, but do you want to finally be free from this? Do you want to finally transcend the pain that you're still suffering? Do you want to transcend that, or do you want to carry it around till the end of time? Because you really still are, even though you're in a place of wanting to project out blame upon your abuser. You want to blame them. You want them to be the bad guy, right? You don't want to see their pain. You don't want to see their sadness, their victimization, why they projected pain onto you. You don't want to take a look at that because you want them to stay the bad guy so that you'll have someone to blame your painful feelings on. But that's not the solution. That's not the solution, because you're always going to carry around your pain then if you do that. The solution is always to return it to a state of love and harmony and balance. You can't escape these lessons because you can go. I see people doing this all the time, going around throwing their families away, throwing their partner away, throwing their job experiences away, throwing their opportunities to learn and transcend, throwing all of this stuff away. Walking away from family relationships. I know a guy who lives alone. He has not had contact with his parents, his siblings, or anybody in any part of his family since he was 15. He ran away from home because he was in an abusive situation. His family wasn't healthy, so he got out of there and ran away. He has not had contact with them since. He's not married. He has no children. he has no connections, no family connections to anybody. Did that solve anything? No. So he's going to continue to cycle through whatever the lesson there was for him. Even though you try to throw these experiences away and you run away and you get away and you escape them and you push them away. And here's the ways we escape, guys. We get addicted to unhealthy foods and addictive substances and addictive media. Some people like to escape by going to movies. And when you start consuming unhealthy media that doesn't uplift you and enlighten you and make you feel better about yourself, you're poisoning yourself. And that's escapism. So you can escape into a lot of different things. You can escape into sleep, you can escape into hobbies, you can escape into addictions, but you're still just running away because you don't want to have to face the feelings that belong to you. So the real lesson is the only way you're ever going to truly escape is to transcend it. You can't run away from it. You have to transcend it. How do we transcend it? We return it to love. So my mantra today is transcend in order to ascend. Do you know what ascension is? Ascension is basically taking big steps, and sometimes little, steps one step at a time, into a higher dimension, into a higher place, like a godlike place, an infinite place, an eternal place. We are returning back to where we originated, which is, for some of us, that's God. We're trying to get back to his presence. That is ascension. And so as we take these little steps, sometimes the steps take huge amounts of leaps of faith in order for us to transcend the lesson and return it to love. The minute that it's returned to a state of love and harmony and balance and peace, then you're given the next lesson. You're like, okay, done and done. Let's move on to the next lesson. So how do we transcend then? I'm going to give you 3 steps, okay? The first step is raise your vibration. Raise your frequency. How do we do that? Return it to love. You're going to get sick of hearing me say that, but you've got to find more love in your life. Live in the vibration of love. Do what you love. Be what you love. Say what you love. Speak your truth. Be authentic. And don't make any apologies for that. Just be that divine love within you. One of the most healthy ways that you can do that is through a process called forgiveness. And I use a little tool called this. It's a forgiveness exercise that I learned from my teachers. And in a nutshell, there's a kind of a long process that I take people through, but in a nutshell, basically you go into your center and you start saying, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you. I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, until the feeling in your body begins to melt and change. So it takes a willingness to see people who have projected their pain and their hurt and their suffering onto you. It takes a willingness for you to see their pain in it and say to them, oh, wow, you are in pain too. I'm sorry. I forgive you. I love you. So these are 3, maybe 4 little statements you could use. Write them down, you guys. Go get a pen, write this down. Next time you're in an argument, use these phrases and see what happens to the argument. First phrase, if you're in an argument, say to the person, I'm sorry. Like deeply mean it. Say, I am so sorry. You're right. I love you. I respect that. Say those 3 things. I am so sorry. You're right. I love you. And I respect that. And see what happens to the argument. Is it still there? Nope. You've transcended it because you are willing to be the one to return it to love. It doesn't matter. Don't get caught up in who's the one that returns it to love. And don't get caught up in thinking, I'm always the one who has to return it to love. They never do it. Do you want it? Do you want to feel better or don't you? Do you want to carry around the pain till the end of time? Or do you want to transcend it? You got to decide. What do you want? Step 3 is you got to let the soul be the leader. I think one of the biggest challenges and lessons for us in our lives is to learn how to find this internal navigational system within us and let that part of you lead authentically. That's your internal navigation. So do you have what it takes to transcend your own pain and suffering? Or are you trying to escape it, push it away, run away from it, or throw it away as a means of escaping it? If you do that, you'll always have it with you. The lesson will always be there for you to learn, and you'll never transcend it until you return it to love. And you'll never fully ascend to the next step of ascension until you transcend these lessons. You can't escape them. It's not possible, because your soul will continue to bring it around and around and around. You divorce your spouse, or you walk away from your family and you throw away your family, guess what? Life is going to continue to share with you opportunities for you to continue to learn and transcend those same exact lessons, because you were put here for those lessons. You were made for these lessons. They were made for you. And guess what? When you transcend the lesson, you've just discovered what you're here to give. You've discovered your purpose. What are you here now to give? Are you going to look around and see other people who are in that same pain that you can totally recognize? And are you going to reach out to them, grab them by the hand, and help them through it, through their ascension